The Gospel of Matthew. The early years of Jesus. Matthew 2:13-23. Introduction. 1. A remarkable feature concerning the Gospel records is their brevity. A. Especially related to the early life of Jesus, following his birth. B. Mark and John relate nothing about this period of Jesus' life. C. Only Matthew and Luke record something about the first 30 years. 2. Other than the visit of the wise men, Matthew records only A. The flight to Egypt, Matthew 2:13-15. B. The massacre by Herod, Matthew 2:16-18. C. The return to Nazareth, Matthew 2:19-23. 3. Why did Matthew record only these three events? Are there any lessons to be gleaned from what we know of the early years of Jesus? 1. Matthew's account of the early years of Jesus. A. The flight to Egypt. 1. Precipitated by the angel's warning. Matthew 2:13-14. A. Joseph was told to take Mary and the child to Egypt. B. For Herod was seeking to destroy Jesus. 2. Remaining there until the death of Herod. Matthew 2:15. A. The sojourn and eventual departure from Egypt fulfilled prophecy. Hosea 11:1. B. For the exodus of Israel alluded to in Hosea was evidently a type or shadow of the Messiah's own call out of Egypt. Now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and stay there until I tell you, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. He arose and took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the Lord through the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt I called my son. Matthew 2:13-15. B. The massacre of the infants. 1. Herod's angry decree. Matthew 2:16. A. Having been frustrated in his original plans. Matthew 2:7-8 and 12. B. Ordering the death of all male children, 2 and under, in Bethlehem and surrounding districts. 2. Jeremiah's prophecy. Matthew 2:17-18. A. This terrible calamity had been foreseen. Jeremiah 31:15. B. For the exile of Israel alluded to in Jeremiah was likewise a type or shadow of the grief that would be experienced again in the region where Rachel was buried. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked by the wise men, was exceedingly angry, and sent out, and killed all the male children who were in Bethlehem and in all the surrounding countryside, from 2 years old and under, according to the exact time which he had learned from the wise men. Matthew 2:16. Then that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled, saying, A voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children. She wouldn't be comforted, because they are no more. Matthew 2:17-18. C. The return to Nazareth. 1. Joseph was directed via dreams. Matthew 2:19-22. A. First, to return to Israel, for Herod was dead. B. Then, to go to Galilee instead of Judah, for Herod's son Archelaus was reigning in Judah. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for those who sought the young child's life are dead. Matthew 2:19-20. He arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judah in the place of his father, Herod, he was afraid to go there. Being warned in a dream, he withdrew into the region of Galilee. Matthew 2:21-22. 2. Residing in Nazareth, another fulfillment of prophecy. Matthew 2:23. A. The prophecy he shall be called a Nazarene was based upon the words of several prophets which was spoken by the prophets, and came and lived in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken through the prophets, he will be called a Nazarene. Matthew 2:23. B. There are at least two possibilities as to what is meant. 1. It may be that this term of contempt, John 1:46 and 7:52, is what is meant, and that several prophecies are to be combined like Psalms 22:6 and 8, 69, 11 and 19, Isaiah 53:2-4, Robertson's word pictures. 2. Verse 23 alludes to Isaiah 11:1, which states that a branch, Netzer, Hebrew, will grow out of the roots of Jesse. Jeremiah 23:5. Under this view, branch and Nazarene share the same root, Enzedah, Hebrew, and branch refers to the coming ruler of Davidic descent. Although they used a different word, other prophets also spoke of the Messiah in terms of the branch. Jeremiah 23:5, Zechariah 3:8 and 6:12. And Matthew could legitimately say that this prediction was spoken by the prophets, verses 6 and 15. Believers study Bible. Lessons to be gleaned from Jesus' early years. A. Worldly rulers are often opposed to God's rule. 1. This is seen throughout Jesus' life and the period following. A. Herod the Great, upset at his birth. Matthew 2:1-3 and 16. B. Herod Antipas, who had John imprisoned and beheaded. Matthew 4:12 and 14, 1-12. C. The leaders of Israel. 1. Who plotted against Jesus. Matthew 26:3-4 and 27, 1-2. 2. Who attempted to cover up his resurrection. Matthew 28:11-15. 3. Who sought to prevent the apostles from telling their story. Acts 4:1-3 and 18, also 5:40 and 24, 1-5. 2. We should not be surprised if the same should happen to us today. A. Jesus warned that such might happen. John 15:18-20. B. Satan will certainly do all that he can to stop us. 1. He was behind the efforts to persecute Christ and his church. Revelation 12:3-5 and 17. 1 Peter 5:8-9. 2. He made use of kings to war against the Lamb and his followers. Revelation 17:12-14. 3. And will do so again. Revelation 20:7-9. But as prophesied, all such efforts are for naught. Psalms 2:1-12. B. Humble beginnings can't hinder the advance of God's will. 1. Jesus' beginnings did not prevent him from doing great things. A. Even though he lived in exile and relative obscurity at the beginning in Egypt. B. Even though he was raised in a town despised by others, Nazareth. 2. The example of Jesus' humility ought to inspire us. A. To accept the mind of Christ, especially in relation to our brethren. Philippians 2:5-8. B. To accept whatever area of service we might have in life. Psalms 84:10. For those who humble themselves will be exalted at the right time. 1 Peter 5:5-7. Conclusion. 1. What we know of Jesus' early years is very little. 2. But it is sufficient to confirm that he was truly the Messiah. A. Who would be despised and rejected by men. Isaiah 53:3. B. Against whom the kings of the earth set themselves. Psalms 2:3. 3. And it should be sufficient to remind his disciples A. That we can expect the same treatment. 2 Timothy 3:12. B. That we seek to emulate the same example of humility and willingness to suffer for the will of God. 1 Peter 2:21. Are you willing to humbly serve and even suffer persecution for Jesus the Nazarene? The end. The Gospel of Matthew. The early years of Jesus, Matthew 2:13-23.